At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Atlanta Braves. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. Looking for a car with better tech and safety? Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. By Time Warner Cable, it's the obvious choice, people. Call 1-855-WANT-TWC today. By Lexus, proceed directly to luxury with the captivating 2016 Lexus ES and ES Hybrid. By Raymore & Flanagan Furniture, furnishing your style. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. And by ChevyOffers.com. With 2 weeks to go in the season, the playoff picture brought to you by Raymore & Flanagan, furnishing your style. And with the Cardinals beating the Giants last night and the Mets sweeping the Twins, the Mets with a one-game lead on the Giants for the first playoff position, 2 games in front of the Cardinals. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves. 13 games to go in the season, and the mantra for Terry Collins this year, late in the season, as it was last year with a 39-man active roster, is if you hit, you play. Yesterday, Terry played an offbeat lineup with a late game on Saturday night. Michael Conforto got a rare start, got 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and it's Conforto who's in the lineup tonight instead of Jay Bruce.
Well, Conforto went 2 for 4 yesterday. It was his first start since Labor Day back on September 5th, so he had some bench time. First at bat in that first inning, got a big 2 RBI single to left center field. That's most important. Got 2 hits on the day. He's out in right field again today.
And TJ Rivera again at second base. He's already got 6 multiple hit games and another home run yesterday. You can't get him out of the lineup.
Well, he swings the bat, and with Flores hurt in that slide in Atlanta, he's been filling the gap there. He hit a big home run in Washington that won the ball game. His home run yesterday was the deciding run in that ball game. He's sitting at a 344 clip. He's not getting out of that lineup.
The home run Rivera hit in Washington saved the Mets bacon on a day that Noah Syndergaard started and pitched brilliantly. This is Syndergaard's next start. He has really carried the load late in the season.
That start in Washington, he went 7 innings and gave up only 1 run. Got a no decision. He's going for his 14th win. He's in the top 5 in earned run average. He's had a terrific year. Got over the 200 plateau in strikeouts. He's looking for his 14th win.
Braves rookie Aaron Blair is still looking for his first big league win. He's made 12 starts, 3 of them against the Mets.
Yes, his first major league start earlier in the year. He pitched a decent ball game against the Mets. The Mets roughed him up on the 3rd start with 8 runs. This is his first start since coming off the DL. He's going to try looking for his first major league win. He's 0-6 with an ERA of over 8.
Even the weather's cooperating with the Mets these days. The rain is clear. The Mets trying to keep the ball rolling, looking for their 21st win in their last 28. All the action on Pix 11. By Optimum Wi-Fi, an expanding network of over 1.5 million hotspots. Be here at Citi Field Saturday, September 24th for Fan Appreciation Weekend. The Mets take on the Phillies at 7:10. And the first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets fleece blanket, courtesy of the Northwest Company. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Mets and the Braves, 2 weeks to go in the regular season. Every game important. First pitch tonight is coming right up. This should end it. Pagan puts it away, and the Giants have taken the first 2 games of this series.
And the Mets now are 2 games under 500.
First time since they were 4-6 to start the year. And a greater report, the Mets are now 5.5 games behind St. Louis for the second wild card. Things starting to slip away for the Mets with 40 games to go in the season. How much has changed in a month? 27 games later, the Mets have won 20 of 27. They now sit atop the pack in the wild card race. It is amazing what has transpired in the last month.
You know, this has been kind of a signature of Terry Collins. I always feel that a manager's personality reflects on the team, and Terry's a no-quitter, and this ball club's a no-quitter. I was very despondent after that second loss in San Francisco, Gary, and I was not of high hopes, but boy, oh boy, have they turned it around. Oh, how resilient.
Cologne pitched a great game the next day. Syndergaard had that great performance on Sunday night, and the Mets won 2 out of 3 in St. Louis, and they've been rolling ever since. And they try and keep it rolling against the last place Braves, who gave them fits in Atlanta last week. Starting lineup brought to you by Honda. Great deals are waiting at your Honda dealer. Red hot Ender Inciarte, red hot Adonis Garcia, red hot Freddie Freeman, red hot Nick Markakis. The Braves have been hitting, they've been scoring. They haven't pitched very well lately, but they are much more formidable than they were earlier in the year.
And there's Noah Syndergaard, the starting pitcher. Got a no decision, a real tough no decision his last time out. One of the few blown saves by Familia, but he has had a great year. Congratulations on that 205 strikeouts. That's a nice little mark for him. And the defense of the Mets brought to you by your Honda dealers. Cespedes, Granderson, Conforto. We mentioned Conforto at the top. He's getting the start in right field. Rivera, you're not taking him out of the lineup at shortstop. Everybody had an off day. Reyes, Cabrera, Loney, they're all back in the lineup today. And Rene always catches Syndergaard.
Themes of the game brought to you by Hyundai. Looking for a car with better tech and safety? Visit your local Hyundai dealer today.
So we got a little poker here. Noah, the ace of diamonds, 4-1 in his last 6 starts. Straight flush. Watch out for Freeman with the 22-game hitting streak. And the 3 of a kind. That's a pretty good hand, by the way. The Mets winning 3 straight despite scoring only 3 runs. It's not the dead man's hand, but it's 3 of a kind.
It's a well-pitched hand. Mets are winning despite not a lot of runs scored. It's 14 runs in the last 6 games, but they've won 4 of the 6, and they send Syndergaard to the mound against the Braves for the first time this year, amazingly enough, in the 17th meeting between the clubs. Ender Inciarte leads off and takes low and away for ball 1, and we're underway. Syndergaard made 2 starts against the Braves last year in his rookie season, and now just his 3rd ever start against Atlanta. Inciarte having a fantastic second half. He has 88 hits since the All-Star break, which ties him for the most in the major leagues.
He was injured earlier in the year, missed some time. Boy, he's made up for it in that second half.
Syndergaard behind him 2-0, and Inciarte takes a strike. Of course, Inciarte was part of that huge deal that the Braves pulled off with the Diamondbacks that is paying big dividends. They got Inciarte and they got Dansby Swanson, their shortstop. They also got tonight's starting pitcher Aaron Blair in the deal for Shelby Miller.
Syndergaard, as always, coming out with the 3-digit fastball.
Braves have been better lately. We talked about their offense. Last 28 games, averaging 5.7 runs per game. They were the lowest scoring team in the league before that stretch. They actually now have jumped ahead of the Mets. They're 3rd to last. Mets are 2nd to last in runs scored. And Inciarte strikes out on the slider. And Syndergaard has a strikeout to start his night. 13
games left. Noah's going to have 2 starts. And he needs to win and keep his ball club in the game.
2 more starts in the regular season, and then lined up perfectly to start the wild card game the Wednesday after the season ends. Here's Adonis Garcia with 1 out. Garcia over the last 18 games hitting .325. He had a big day yesterday, and the Braves win over the Nats. Braves took 2 out of 3 over the Nationals over the weekend. A rain-shortened affair yesterday. Stopped in the 7th inning. Garcia had 3 RBIs in that game and a 7-3 win.
And as Gary mentioned, this Brave team has a lot of fight.
We saw that last week in Atlanta. The Mets took 2 out of 3, but it was not easy.
And the Braves have been a better road team as opposed to home. They played a lot better on the road than they have at home, although their home numbers have improved.
The Mets can certainly bear witness to that as well. The last time the Braves were here in New York in June, they swept a 3-game series.
The Braves in the division are at .500, and the Nationals just dominated them, so they played well against the other 3.
Garcia strikes out on the fastball. Syndergaard with back-to-back strikeouts to start his night.
Syndergaard scintillating. First 2 batters.
Syndergaard in his last start against the Nats reached 200 strikeouts in the 2nd fewest inning that any Met ever has. Only Doc Gooden in his rookie season in 1984 reached 200 strikeouts in fewer innings than did Noah. Here's Freddie Freeman raging hot right now, and he grounds one right to the second baseman. Rivera plays it, and Syndergaard has himself an easy 1-2-3 inning, 2 strikeouts, and a ground ball from Freeman. And the Mets will come to bat against Aaron Blair in the bottom of the 1st with no score. Great deals are waiting at your Honda dealer. T.J. Rivera in the 5 spot in the batting order, right behind Cespedes and Granderson. Michael Conforto in the lineup for the 2nd straight day. Rene Rivera, who always catches Syndergaard. The Mets rested Reyes and Cabrera and Granderson yesterday, have them all back in. And Cespedes okay after leaving yesterday's game a little bit nauseous.
Very interesting here. Aaron Blair's 4th start this year, and he's been up and down. Only his 13th start of the year. Syndergaard with a full season, his first start against the Braves. That's hard to do.
We'll say Reyes leading off. Corners are in against Jose. And Blair's first pitch misses high for ball 1. Reyes leading off games has a .438 on base percentage. He's done a remarkable job getting on to start the 1st inning. Aaron Blair made his major league debut against the Mets back in April. Didn't pitch badly. Had another pretty good start against the Mets, but the next one in June he got racked and got sent to the minors the next day. Didn't come back till late August.
Yeah, they got 8 runs off of him, I believe, in that game.
He pitched 1 game in late August. Then they put him on the sidelines because he had a bit of a knee issue. He made a couple of rehab starts in the minors. Pitched 5 days ago in a AAA playoff game. And now back in the big leagues again. And he strikes out Reyes on the changeup. And Blair has a strikeout to start his night.
And we'll take a look at the Brave defense, and that's also brought to you by your Tri Honda dealers. Matt Kemp just newly acquired in left field. On the infield, the nice young rookie there, Dansby Swanson. Got a nice glove for shortstop with what little we've seen of him. And Tyler Flowers now, with the retirement of A.J. Persinski, has taken over the bulk of the catching for the Braves.
Flowers had a huge problem throwing out base runners this year. It'd be interesting if the Mets get any speed on base. Here's Asdrubal Cabrera taking a letter high strike.
Well, the Mets aren't a team that takes and steals a lot of bases, and the only guy that's a real threat is Jose Reyes, and Reyes hasn't really been stealing a lot.
Be interesting if he gets on tonight if that changes. Cabrera takes outside a ball and a strike. Aaron Blair, 24 years old, 1st round pick by the Diamondbacks in 2013 out of Marshall University, the Thundering Herd.
Ooh.
2-1 to Cabrera with Cespedes on deck. Blair grew up in Las Vegas, but went across the country to West Virginia to play his college ball. Part of that big trade for Shelby Miller last winter. The other 2 players have paid dividends. Now Blair trying to carry his weight.
Well, you've got a sinker ball pitcher out here in Blair, and last time I remember that start when he got ripped by the Mets for 8 runs. He had nothing. He was all over the place. He was up. Look how low Tyler Flowers behind the plate is. Gives him such a low target. Look at that.
And there's ball 4. So the low target, but the high pitch, and Cabrera is on base. And walks have been a problem for Blair. That's 30 walks in 55 big league innings.
Yes. Also 68 hits, Gary. 11 home runs in 54 and now 55 innings. It's just opposition hitting .315 against him. It's not been a good year, and it's reflective with his 1-loss record and his earned run average.
So now Cespedes, who started yesterday but came out after 3 plate appearances. He was feeling nauseous and dizzy, but he felt better by the time the game was over and well enough to be back in the lineup today. 30 home runs, 81 runs batted in. One of those home runs earlier this year against Aaron Blair. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, Jose Reyes has been such a great addition to this ball club, and I think injected some excitement and some enthusiasm in this squad.
Cespedes swings through the high fastball. As you see from the radar gun, Blair is not overpowering by any means. 91 on his fastball.
But you know what? 91's 91, and it doesn't give you that much time to think up there. I tend to think the guns today are a tad quick.
changeup and pulled that one into the Braves dugout, causing some bodies to stir. Chase Darno hanging out in the front row.
I definitely can see the resemblance.
Anthony Recker next to him, former Met. Cabrera at first with one out. Curtis Granderson on deck. 0-2 from Blair, and Cespedes goes down on the high fastball. So Blair keeping the ball up and gets the strikeout. His second of the inning.
Well, Blair has that put you asleep motion, effortless motion, and it looks like he's sneaky. Bit of a dart thrower. He's not a drop and drive guy at all.
So now Curtis Granderson comes to the plate for the first time since his extraordinary extra inning performance on Saturday night. Curtis became the first Met ever to hit 2 extra inning home runs in the same game. 55 years of Mets baseball, first time it had ever happened, and only the 3rd time in the major leagues in the last 25 years that a player has hit 2 extra inning home runs in the same game. And the first one Curtis hit in the 11th tied it. The second one in the 12th won it.
You know, just thinking about the season and all the injuries that the Mets had during the season and their regular players, Curtis is the only guy that hasn't been on the DL.
It's amazing, isn't it? Over 500 at bats for Granderson. In the air to left field, and Matt Kemp is right there. And that retires the side. A walk and one left for Aaron Blair in the first inning. We go to the second at Citi Field. Mets and Braves, no score. Market game live in HD and over 400 supported devices. MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Matt Kemp will lead off the second inning against Noah Syndergaard. Kemp has really revitalized this Atlanta lineup since they got him at the trading deadline from San Diego. 44 games with the Braves, hitting .293 with 8 homers and 30 driven in. In the air to right center, and Granderson leads way for Conforto to make the catch. 1 out.
The differences that a person can make in a lineup depends on who that individual is, and in this case with the Braves, we're talking about Matt Kemp, who's made a big difference on this club as far as their offense. You know, he's going to have a 100 RBI season. He's only had 174 at bats with the Braves. He's at 13 home runs, drove in 30 runs. What he's been able to do, his positive influence on the lineup has been they found out that Adonis Garcia is a dead fastball hitter, and they were able to put Garcia in the 2-hole. And Garcia has responded in that 2-hole very favorably because he's getting more fastball. So those are maybe the subtle things that a guy can bring to a lineup with a lineup change that makes someone else better. It's really kind of indirectly affecting that player's performance in a positive way.
And I would think also the big right-handed bat in between Freeman and Markakis, the left-hand hitters, it's got to help Freddie Freeman. His numbers have taken off since Kemp.
Yes, he's got protection behind him. And you know, Kemp's had some wonderful years. It's all Kemp. It's all about staying healthy.
Right. Markakis takes a changeup low and away. Well, he was the best player in baseball in 2011. And then injuries robbed him of a lot of his power and a lot of his speed. He still doesn't move around the way he used to in the outfield, that's for sure. Markakis dribbles one foul, 2-2, but he is still a formidable threat when he steps in the batter's box, Matt Kemp.
Now the other end of it is Cespedes last year coming to the Mets, where he just literally was one guy came and literally lifted the club on his back and carried him to a division title and National League flag too.
Yeah, it wasn't a rising tide that lifted all boats. He was the entire ocean.
Yes, he was. Absolutely. That's why I've enjoyed watching this Met team and this run they've had now, because it's been not just one person. And this is a team game, and I grew up with team games in football, basketball, and baseball. And when you have 25 guys and everybody is getting a chance to contribute, there's more guys on the bench now, but the main bulk of the team, and they're all feel like they're contributing. There's no greater feeling of bringing everybody together.
2-2 to Markakis, and it's low and away, full count. Markakis hot, hitting .370 over his last 12 games, really up and down this Braves lineup.
What a nice year he's had, very quietly. He's got 12 home runs, 86 RBIs. He's going to drive in 90 runs, probably with less than 15 home runs. That's a heck of a year.
38 doubles. 8th pitch to him, and he fouls away the fastball. Syndergaard started the night with the 3rd best ERA in the major leagues, 5th highest strikeout total in the National League. He has had himself a phenomenal year, and he's only gotten better toward the end of it. Last 6 starts, 4-1, 1.36. Working hard on Markakis with Tyler Flowers on deck. Off speed, off the glove of Syndergaard. Backhand play Rivera, but has no play on Markakis, and it's an infield hit. So the Braves have their first base run.
TJ has shown some nice range to his right, up the middle. Another blow. Tipped the glove of Syndergaard. Nice dive. And you know what? Didn't have a good grip coming up. It's the proper thing to do. Smart plays. Eat it. Don't throw it away. And you see he had a palm ball there. He just smothered that ball. Just best to hold on to it.
Yeah, I don't think he was going to get Markakis anyway. So now 1 out and 1 on. Here's Tyler Flowers, who has come alive offensively since coming back from a stint on the disabled list with a broken hand, and he takes ball 1. Flowers, since coming off the DL, 22 games, hitting .316. Longtime Chicago White Sox catcher who was originally drafted by the Braves and now back with the organization he began with.
You see Eddie Perez right there, the first base coach. You see all the first base coaches with their stopwatches. In his right hand, he's doing all that from the belt, how long it takes Syndergaard to get the ball, deliver the ball home.
You know, Eddie Perez's connection with the Mets. He was the MVP of the 1999 League Championship Series against the Mets.
Oh, I forgot about that. Very much like Gene Tennis in that what year? That's 70 when they beat the Reds.
72.
72 when they beat the Reds. Gene Tenace hit 4 home runs at the World Series. Or 3 at a great World Series.
2-1 to Flowers with Jace Peterson on deck. And it's taken high 3-1.
I went on to play with Gene in St. Louis. Gene was a part of a great teammate, part of that '82 World Championship team in St. Louis. And Gene always laughed. He says they didn't even think about me. I had Joe Rudy, Reggie Jackson, Sal Bando. He goes, "Who's this guy?" He said they just kept throwing me fastballs.
Markakis no threat to run. Syndergaard, of course, has well-documented problems holding runners. And that's outside ball 4. And Flowers draws a walk, so now the Braves have 2 men on.
Interesting how Syndergaard's walks have been a little bit of a tick up, not alarmingly, but he was so good. I mean, 40, that's his 41st walk of the year and 175 innings pitched. That's just outstanding. But it's a slight uptick in the second half. In the first half, he hardly walked anybody.
So now Jace Peterson, the second baseman. Peterson sat out a couple of games this weekend against the Nats with a bit of an ankle injury, but came back to the lineup yesterday. And he's been swinging the bat well. Up to 262 for the year after hitting 239 last year in his rookie season. And Syndergaard misses with a slider. Noah plowed his way through the first 4 hitters, but after a long at bat, Markakis worked him for an infield hit. Now a walk to Flowers. 1-0 to Peterson with Dansby Swanson, the number 8 hitter, on deck. And that misses off the plate at 99 miles an hour. 2-0. Bill Miller is the home plate umpire tonight. He's also the crew chief. Tony Randazzo, who is Wayne's cousin, works at first base. Chris Siegel and Brian Knight round out the crew. So when Wayne does the game on the radio and Tony's umpiring, you have to.
Maybe it's like who were the two, the umpire that were brothers or related? They never.
Well, Jim Wolf is
right.
Randy Wolf, the pitcher's brother.
Right. So maybe the Randazzo can get off the air in this game. He can't be non-partial.
Well, you think he's sitting there? He's not doing the game tonight. He's doing the pre and post. You think he's sitting there rooting for his cousin, the umpire? It's a hard thing to do. Peterson takes the strike, 3-1. Well, this is a nice note for a team that has diminishing chances, but it certainly has to make them feel better. Giancarlo Stanton just homered for the Miami Marlins.
Well, they just got a off the bat 115 mile per hour.
There's ball 4, so back-to-back walks by Syndergaard, and now the Braves have the bases loaded. So Syndergaard, who came in with the 6th best control numbers in the National League, issues back-to-back walks to Flowers and Peterson, and that'll get him a visit from Dan Warthen.
Well, this game is constant struggle. And it's even up in the booth when you got to talk over the automobiles as they go by. ChevyOffers.com. You got that, folks? Okay, out.
I was just thinking about this, Keith. You know, when you used to play and the planes would fly over Shea Stadium, you would step out of the batter's box.
Right.
So now when the truck and the truck noise comes through when you're trying to talk, should you be stepping out?
Well, I never thought of that because I get tired sometimes up here. That's a good idea, Gareth. Thank you for that tip.
So Syndergaard with an early crisis. Bases loaded, 1 out. Dansby Swanson, the rookie shortstop, hitting .289. And he goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1.
Good slider.
He's throwing that slider hard. 93 to 95 early in this game. Swanson, just 22 years old, number 1 pick in the draft last year by Arizona, and now making his mark with the Braves. 90 at bats deep into his big league career. And Noah throws the sinker low, 1-1.
He's trying to find his fastball. He's having a difficult time commanding his fastball. He's not missing by much. He's trying to get the range going here early. It's a funny game.
Humid night. You can see it from Noah's hair. Hit the other way, base hit for Swanson. That'll bring in at least one. Markakis scores. Flowers will stop at third. So Swanson drives in the first run of the game with an opposite field single, and it's 1-0 Atlanta.
Impressive at bat by the youngster. Highly touted, like his swing. Right into the hole between first and second. No chance.
First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Now the pitcher Blair is 1 for 16, looking for his first big league RBI. And Syndergaard throws a fastball down the middle. So an infield hit, 2 walks, and Swanson cashes a run with a base hit. Now the Mets would love to get a double play from Blair. See if he takes the bat off his shoulder.
Nice block.
Rivera quick to get down and keep that ball in front of him. 1-1.
You know, another thing I just thought of, Gary, so many times now, it used to be automatic back when I played. You know, you got a base hit with 2 runners on second and third, they both would score. Now I know I don't think there's a lot of speed out there anymore, but I do think.
Blair pops one up. Infield fly will be called. Batter's out. And Rivera squeezes it for the second out.
How low to the ground, closely cropped the grass is. The balls get to the outfielders faster. They're like putting greens out there. They're so manicured and so short. And I think it takes away a little bit from, you know, the most exciting play is a close play at the plate. You know, maybe they should consider the commissioner's office, maybe the outfield grass. If you want to keep the infield cut close, fine. Maybe you want to let the grass grow a little taller in the outfield.
Here's Inciarte with the bases loaded and 2 out. Struck out his first time up. And takes it low for ball 1. Of course, the other side of that coin is if you keep the grass short, more balls are going to find their way up the gap.
I understand, but you know, of all your hits, if you have 100 and something hits, you know, how many extra base hits are you going to get? 40 doubles is outstanding. Most people don't get 40 doubles.
Inciarte fouls off the changeup, and it's 1-1.
So evidently the home run that Stanton hit was over the Budweiser sign here
in Miami.
In Miami.
That's a long, long way into the windows.
Into the windows. Paul Newman, our friend down there in Miami. Paul's our stage manager. Just texted us. We're always trying to enhance our broadcast.
Even from afar. Back-to-back changeups by Syndergaard to get ahead on Inciarte. 1-2. Thunder sticks out in force. Syndergaard about to throw his 30th pitch of the inning. Trying to limit the damage. Bases loaded, 2 out. Inciarte takes one the other way for a base hit. Flowers scores. Peterson stops at third. So 2 opposite field RBI singles for the Braves in the inning. Inciarte drives in his 28th run, and it's 2-0 Atlanta.
Backdoor slider hung in there. And nothing you can do defensively here. It's in the hole, but that's just pretty good hitting by Inciarte. And here we are, a base at a time again. And that's just down the middle. That was a hanger. So good hitting, 2 strikes.
Well, the walks have come back to bite Syndergaard here in the second. The 2 walks loaded him up, and now 2 of them have scored. Here's Garcia, the 8th man up in the inning. And a slider blowing away for ball 1.
It's a pesky bunch, these Braves. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see these teams when they're playing it out, giving it the best.
Peterson now at third, Swanson at second, Inciarte at first with 2 out. Garcia, a dangerous hitter, 13 home runs. And he takes low and in, and it's 2-0. And the Braves are on the bottom of the National League East, but they've been a better team lately. We showed you the offensive numbers, and also a better team since they changed managers. Freddie Gonzalez started the season as the Braves skipper. They were going nowhere in the middle of May. They brought in Brian Snitker, who was a a career Braves organization guy and gave him the interim job, and still no guarantees coming back next year, but there's no question they played better under Snitker.
I would have thought they were going to lose 100 games, and it looks like they're going to hang in there and stay in the 90s.
That's out the bullpen going behind Syndergaard. And Garcia might have helped him there. 2-1.
Well, I think what you're going to see from Terry Collins is that his team is, and this Met team, your team, has been feisty, and he's not going to let games get out of hand. He's going to go with a hot hand offensively, and if he sees the pitchers out there that don't have it any one day, he's got a lot of bullpen out there, Gary.
In some ways, you have to manage these games like they're postseason games and have very little patience.
I mean, we're down to 13 games in the regular season, and that's on top of the wild card by a game. 2 over the Cardinals. Every game counts.
Well, Garcia has really helped out Syndergaard these last 2 pitches. He's gotten it back to 2-2. 2 runs home. Bases loaded, 2 out. 35th pitch of the inning coming up from Syndergaard. And Garcia lifts one to right. Conforto should have room. Side retired. Syndergaard issues back-to-back walks. It bites him for 2 runs. Mets down 2-0 in the second. Second inning, down 2-0. T.J. Rivera will lead off against Aaron Blair. T.J. has been writing quite a story over these last couple of weeks. The undrafted free agent from the Bronx who played for ex-Met Mackie Sasser in junior college down in Alabama. And he has taken the second base job with the injury to Neil Walker and the injury to Wilmer Flores, and he has run with it. Who's Hot brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Rivera has started 14 games for the Mets. He has 6 multiple hit games. He was 6 for 13 in the series against Minnesota, including a home run yesterday. And Blair falls behind him 2-0. Michael Conforto on deck, then James Loney. Blair looking for his first big league win in his 13th major league start, and now has been staked to an early lead. Blair has already tied the Braves record for most consecutive winless starts by a pitcher to begin his Braves career. Ira Hutchinson with the Boston Braves in the 30s and 40s was 0-9 through his first 12 starts. And now Blair 0-6. That's a call strike, and it's 2-1. So that's one of those records you want to put behind you.
Yes.
They've been working a lot with Blair on his mechanics since his last big league start. See if it pays off tonight. 3-1 coming. And Rivera fouls it off 3-2. TJ is a hard guy to walk. 61 major league at bats. He's had 1 walk. He likes to swing the bat. He likes to make early contact. 4 to 1 deck. 3-2 from Blair, and TJ with a big swing foul.
Barely hung in there. All right, Tom, nice play.
And Rivera fouls off another fastball. Blair, one of 16 different starting pitchers the Braves have used this year. That is the most they've ever had in a season since they moved to Atlanta in 1966. It's been a revolving door after Julio Teheran, who pitches tomorrow. Popped up into shallow right, and Markakis comes in to get it. 1 out. Now Michael Conforto, who gets the start today in the "if you hit, you play" mantra. The other thing that Terry Collins said, and he said this a couple of times already now since Jay Bruce arrived, that he wants to give Jay a couple of days to just clear his head, but it's not the first time that Jay's had that opportunity. And now the question is, if Conforto keeps hitting, does Bruce find his way back into the lineup? Probably rests mostly with Mr. Conforto. This is a team that was designed to have Michael Conforto be a key piece of its offense.
And they are anxious and hoping that Conforto can get it back. He's the future.
Well, you cited his base hit yesterday in the first inning, the one he hit to left center, and Terry Collins was raving about it after the game. Even Conforto said, I just needed to relax and do what I do naturally with that pitch, and he did.
And he chased it a little bit out of the strike zone. Good sinker, but he was going that way, and big 2 runs driven in.
Later in the game, pulled a base hit into right field. 2 for 4 on the day. 1-2 from Blair. And Conforto pops it up. Swanson waiting for it. And there are 2 out. It's worth noting that the Mets have not been scoring much this last week. The Mets have gone 4-2 in their last 6 games, scoring just 14 runs in the 6 games. In fact, with the Mets winning the 3 games against the Twins, all in which they scored 3 runs or fewer. It's the 3rd time in the last 5 seasons the Mets have done that, so it doesn't happen often that you win 3 straight games without scoring more than 3 runs in a game. In fact, if you take that a little further, the last time the Mets won 4 straight games when they didn't score more than 3 runs, 1974.
Wow.
42 years ago. 40 years ago, excuse me.
That's Mr. Seaver, Mr. Kuzman, Mr. Matlack had a lot to do with that.
Ground ball. Shuffling over is Peterson, and he throws out Loney, and that ends the inning. So Blair, after getting the lead, gets the Mets out 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 2nd. We go to the 3rd at Citi Field, 2-0 Atlanta. Tonight's high-speed pitch comes from Fios. Visit getfios.com. Noah Syndergaard is at triple digits. Aaron Blair a mere 93, but it's Blair and the Braves who have a 2-0 lead as we go to the third.
A little bit of command problems for Syndergaard the last inning. The walks hurt him. 2 walks in that inning. He gave up 3 base hits.
35 pitches in that inning, and it was troubling enough that Sean Gilmartin was up in the bullpen during that inning. And now Syndergaard has to face 3, 4, and 5 at the batting order. Freeman, Kemp, and Markakis. Freeman swung at the first pitch and grounded out his first time up. Freddie comes in with a 22-game hitting streak, tied with Brian Dozier for the longest active streak. And he's gotten on base in 38 consecutive games. Freeman having, by all measures, his best season. A career high 30 home runs. OPS over 900. It's grabbed by Eddie Perez, who, by the way, was 10 for 20 with 2 home runs in that '99 League Championship Series. That's pretty good for a backup catcher.
Yep.
And what makes Freeman's numbers this year even more extraordinary is that he got off to a terrible start.
The worst I've ever seen him swing the bat. And back in April, Gary.
It's jammed by Syndergaard, and it's 2-2. Matt Kemp on deck, then Nick Markakis in the third. Already the 50th pitch by Syndergaard, and it goes to a full count on Freeman. So that's already the 4th 3-ball count for Syndergaard, more than he's accustomed early in a game. And Freeman drives one out to left field. Cespedes goes back, takes a look, and it's out of here.
As he's got popped to left center field, boy, I tell you, that's left field. He's got some power.
31st home run of the year for Freddie Freeman as he continues to extend his career high. He's now hit in 23 straight games, reached base in 39 straight. And the Braves putting a hurting on Syndergaard. It's 3-0 Atlanta.
It's only the 11th home run of the year given up by Noah. And he's just so strong. And I've seen him go the opposite field bridge too many times.
So the Braves, who are dead last in the National League in home runs, get the 31st for Freeman. And now here's Kemp. And he takes curveball for a strike.
Kemp didn't like that call. Wayne, I think your cousin blew that one.
No, Randazzo's at first base.
Oh, that's right. Oh, don't pay attention to me. Shoot, I was so wanting it that way. I have to wait till tomorrow.
I'm sure you'll have plenty of chances. By the way, for Freddie Freeman, 31 home runs. That's his 14th to the opposite field.
14th?
Nearly half of his home runs have gone to left.
He is incredibly strong. Don't forget, 81 games at Turner Field, which is no longer going to be there. One of the bigger parks in baseball.
Freeman has done particular damage on the road this year. We mentioned his high OPS. His OPS is even higher on the road. In fact, it's the highest in the major leagues.
And he's a brand new daddy.
Curveball fouled off, so Noah going to his curve to try and get things going here. Kemp has driven in 99 runs this year. First 69 with the Padres, the last 30 with the Braves. And he has 21 RBIs in his last 24 games, so he has been productive. 1-2 coming. Struck him out with a high fastball. Third strikeout of the night for Syndergaard, one down in the third.
Two strikes on a hitter, up and in, is lethal.
208th strikeout of the season for Syndergaard, who this week has transcended baseball stardom.
Yes.
And is moving into a new realm. He apparently has caught the eye of the intellectual set, because a caricature of Noah, there it is
How
going
cool.
to be on this week's cover of the New Yorker.
How cool is that? I never got that.
That's the great artistry of Mark Ulrichsen.
How could he overlook me?
I don't think he overlooked you. If you'd had the hair, maybe that would have gotten you on the cover.
I think, was Doc ever on the New Yorker? I don't believe so.
New Yorker is a special thing. You know, I mean, not too many sports figures.
Yeah, but Doc was pretty special that rookie year. Well, he got a big billboard on top of the building, right? In the West End.
1-2 to Markakis.
West Side, excuse me.
You were thinking London?
At the theater, yes.
Here's the 1-2. Markakis gets jammed and fouls it down the left side. Now, you were on the cover of GQ. That's
Yeah.
an entirely different realm.
Well, nothing. I mean, the New Yorker is unique and is nice, but there's nothing like being on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And I was on the spring cover of Sports Illustrated in 1980 after my MVP batting champion year. I was the spring kickoff when Keith Hernandez. What's this guy hitting? What's this guy doing? Hitting 344. That was the title, and so that was special for me. Very special.
Well, the nice thing about a baseball figure being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, on the cover of the New Yorker, is that inside the New Yorker is the writing of Roger Angel.
Yes.
Who is as spectacular a writer of baseball as there's ever been.
There it was.
There you go. Who is Keith Hernandez?
And that was in a studio in St. Petersburg during spring. They took that, I believe, and that was my first big photo shoot. I was nervous. They had to. This is a true story. There's the GQ. That was a piece of cake. Richard Avedon shot that, actually. So the famous Richard Avedon was the photographer there.
It's almost like the look that was on your face when you're eating that little popcorn in the Just for Men.
Yes. But Sports Illustrated, I was nervous, and they weren't happy with it, so they sent one of the girl runners out there to get a bottle of champagne. They fed me champagne. That's a true story. And I got a little tipsy and got a little less. So I always look at that shoot and know that I had a couple glasses of Dom Perignon.
He softened you up. Lined the other way by Markakis, and that's a base hit. So this is not Noah Syndergaard's night so far. Gets him stirring around in the Mets bullpen.
If you notice, there's no number below the NALS, the Cardinals. It was the only year of as a Cardinal where they put it on the shoulder. It was 1980. They made that one change where they did the shoulder number. And then the next year they went back. Cardinal fans didn't like it. Traditionalists that they are.
It was Tyler Flowers who walked and scored in the second inning. This is looming as one of those nights when Syndergaard is either going to have to slog through or it's going to be a short night.
He's putting a lot of effort in, and they're on his fastball.
Just Martin up for the second time.
Missing his command.
Giving up 3 runs and 4 hits, couple of walks. Flowers fouls back the fastball, and it's 0-2. Syndergaard's pitching with 1 extra day's rest. There was consideration given last week that Noah would pitch on his regular day yesterday, but one of the reasons why he was pushed back to today was A, he felt as though he could use the extra day. And B, this sets him up perfectly if the Mets do make the wild card game for him to pitch that game. He pitches today, then he goes Saturday against the Phillies. Then he'd go the following Friday in Philadelphia, and that sets him up for the Wednesday wild card game.
So he misses the Marlins.
1-2 to Flowers, and the slider misses inside. 2-2. had a 35 pitch second inning. He's already thrown 24 pitches here in the third inning. Markakis at first and 1 out. Ground ball foul. You know, one of the things that has characterized Noah's recent run, these last 6 starts where he's worked to a 1.36 ERA, is that he's gotten away from the high pitch counts that had plagued him for about a 6-week period during the summer.
Well, I say that the reason why was he lost command of his slider during that stretch, his breaking stuff. Tonight he's having trouble commanding his fastball.
On the outside corner, perfectly located fastball gets Flowers for the second out.
Perfect. Nothing wrong with that location.
4th strikeout for Noah.
209 strikeouts. Right there. Too close to take.
Miller, not Rendazzo. Two out. Here's Jace Peterson, who walked his first time up. And he takes a strike. Late swing foul. 0-2. And your best hope at this point for Syndergaard at 73 pitches in the third inning is that he gathers his command and gets through 5. Peterson grounds one for Rivera, and that retires the side. Freeman's home run expands the Braves lead. Freddie's 31st makes it 3-0 Atlanta. Awards emblematic of the top minor leaguers in the Mets system. Dominic Smith won the award for the best player at Binghamton this year, and there are all the award winners, including Brandon Nimmo and Ahmed Rosario, the Mets Sterling Organizational Co-Players of the Year. Dom Smith, former first-round draft pick, is standing by with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, Dom Smith won the award at AA, like you said. He won it for St. Lucie last year. And Dom, you know, you had great season last year, great season this year. Where would you say, though, beyond the statistics, did you make the biggest stride forward?
I think I made the biggest stride forward and just staying consistent. You know, it's a long season and it's tough. You're going to go through your ups and downs, and I feel like this year I'll stay consistent and consistently hit the ball hard and consistently just you played every day. I stayed healthy, so I think that's the biggest stride I made last year.
You said you hit the ball hard. You did that more so than you had in the past in terms of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. 6 home runs last year, 14 this year. Was that a key point of emphasis that you wanted to improve, get that power up?
Yeah, definitely. You know, for the last few years, the Mets been preaching to me, you know, just learn how to hit, learn how to hit. The power to come. That's the last tool to develop. So I feel like this year I kind of found my swing. I learned a few things about my swing, and you know, instead of just trying to get hits, I've been trying to drive the ball. So I feel like that was my biggest key over this year.
Rivera grounds out, 1 away. You said you were learning some things about your swing. What specifically did you learn about it?
You pretty much learn how, you know, turn on balls more efficiently and without getting long and hooking the ball and driving them out the park with some backspin, and also not being afraid of using the left field as well, because I know that I'm strong enough to hit the ball out line to line.
Dom, as Syndergaard drives this one deep to center, going to stay just inside the park, 2 outs. But Dom, the 14 home runs that I mentioned you hit 10 of them the second half of the season, 4 the first half. What were you able to do the second half of the year to really elevate your game?
Yeah, I feel like we had a little spark plug when Rosario and Phil Evans, when they were in the lineup playing every day, they got on base a ton for me. So pitchers didn't want to walk me. They went right after me, and I just tried to make them pay.
Dominic Smith doesn't just have the actual baseball part of the game down. He's got the media part of the game now, referencing his teammates as to why he's having such a great year. But Dom, appreciate the time as always, and good luck next season.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Gary, back to you.
And Steve and Dom talking about his hitting, but the tool that he brought from day one was his glove at first base.
Yeah, he's a very fine fielder. Got to see him play in spring training. And also what was impressive about his season this year, it's hard to drive in 90 runs in the minor leagues. You only have 130 games, 91 runs driven in. That is outstanding.
Jose Reyes struck out his first time up. That's looking for their first hit against Aaron Blair. Blair's last 9 pitches have all been strikes. And now he bounces one. And another 2-2. Field side foul. Blair's been good so far. He's been efficient as well. About to throw his 40th pitch here in the 3rd inning. And Reyes lines one to center field. Inciarte though comes on to get it, and that retires the side. So Blair's thrown 3 hitless innings to start his night. 3-0 Atlanta. September 25th for Fan Appreciation Weekend and the final regular season home game of 2016 when the Mets play the Phillies. All fans in attendance will receive a 2017 magnetic schedule courtesy of Hyundai. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash presented by Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets.
I would ask for one of those, but I have the stainless steel refrigerator. It doesn't work on stainless steel.
Is there an adapter you can get?
I don't know.
That it can stick to one side of the adapter and the other side can stick to your stainless steel refrigerator?
I didn't think of that.
What? Somebody will.
You learn that at Columbia.
Somebody will come up with it.
That's what you
doesn't already exist. Or the other answer that our statistician Dave Freed just suggested. He said, buy a new refrigerator.
Dave, everything in my kitchen is stainless steel. I can't do it.
Dansby Swanson drove in the first run of this game with an opposite field single in the second, and he takes a strike from Syndergaard. Now, Noah Syndergaard had been stifling left-hand batters lately, 4 for the last 47. Well, tonight the lefties are 4 for 7, including the Freddie Freeman home run. Facing the right-hand hitter Swanson now, and that's lined to center field, and Swanson is 2 for 2.
This kid is very impressive swinger, Gare. He was the man in the trade, right? He was the one that the Braves wanted from Arizona, correct?
Number 1 overall draft pick last year.
Yep.
It's a super stud. And it was amazing that the Diamondbacks were willing to give up their top 2 prospects, both Swanson and Aaron Blair, plus a very useful outfielder in Inciarte. Here's Blair looking to sacrifice and pushes the bunt foul. I mean, I know Blair's numbers don't reflect it, but he was regarded as the Diamondbacks' top pitching prospect when the trade was made. The other games that impact the Mets in the wild card race are later. They're about a half an hour from starting in Colorado, where the Cardinals are visiting the Rockies. Carlos Martinez goes for the Cardinals tonight. And a marquee matchup tonight in Los Angeles, as Blair bunts another one foul. As the Dodgers and Giants get together at Dodger Stadium, Clayton Kershaw against Madison Bumgarner.
Ooh, another Dave. That'll be a great one to watch.
This drive around the majors presented by Infinity. Third start for Kershaw since coming back from the disabled list. He was limited to 3 innings in the first start, had the rain delays at Yankee Stadium the second one, but he should be full board tonight. The Dodgers with a magic number of 9 for clinching the National League West. They've got a 5-game lead over the Giants. The Giants, of course, are a game behind the Mets. San Francisco sitting in the second wild card spot, and the Giants are a game in front of the Cardinals, who are trying to get back in. 0-2 to Blair with Inciarte on deck. And Blair fouls it off for strike 3.
Got to be able to help yourself. Close games.
So 5 strikeouts for Syndergaard. And that'll bring up Inciarte, who drove in a run with an opposite field single in the second. Inciarte now with 89 hits since the All-Star break, the most of the majors. He came into the night tied with Trey Turner of the Nationals for most hits since the All-Star break. You know, I know Corey Seager's probably going to win the Rookie of the Year in a walk, but Trey Turner has certainly put up some incredible numbers over the last 3 or 4 months. That certainly put him in the conversation in that Rookie of the Year balloting. Hitting for more power than they expected, great speed. It's going to be a force for the Nats for years to come. Swanson at first, 1 stolen base so far in the big leagues. And Inciarte fouls it off. Syndergaard's been doing a little better job lately. He had the 3 caught stealing game in Cincinnati 2 starts back. And he gave up 1 stolen base in his last start against the Nationals. That was Bryce Harper. But has been keeping the base stealers from getting those reckless leads and those easy stolen bases that have been the case most of the time earlier in the year. 0-2 to Inciarte. Adonis Garcia on deck.
Well, the only blemish on Inciarte this year is his hitting with runners in scoring position at 184. 19 for 103 at bats.
That one his last time up, though.
You're right here. So that's 20 for 104.
Still under 200.
Make that correction.
Try to be precise around here.
Well, something had to be done earlier in the year with the way their teams were stealing the bases on the Mets. And the Mets are paying much more attention. The Mets pitchers much more attention to the runners. They had to. They're going to get run out of town.
There goes Swanson, and it can't be handled by Rivera. And so Swanson has his second stolen base of the season. The 47th now against Syndergaard.
Only the second stolen base for Swanson. He can fly.
Inciarte fouls away the fastball. Well, Noah's fastball, which was sitting at 99 and 100 earlier in the game, it's backed up a little bit. 85 pitches deep with one out in the fourth inning. Twice the Mets have had bullpen action going behind him. Nobody up at the moment. But you got big hitters coming up behind Inciarte, Garcia, then Freeman and Kemp. And he bounces that changeup 2-2. It's not a time of year when you can afford to let a game get away. And Dan Worthen back on the phone to the bullpen. Two coming, and Inciarte fouls back another fastball. So a lot of foul balls tonight. This is what happened during that stretch when Noah was unable to control his pitch count. He had foul ball totals in the 20s on a regular basis, and hitting that way tonight. Seventh pitch of the at bat coming to Inciarte. Bounces the curveball for ball 3. Inciarte thought it was ball 4. Bill Miller says ball 3.
Boy,
put your shin guard back on.
Oh, that should be a fine. Delay of game.
You sure? I thought I counted to 4. No?
Delay of game. Strike 3. Go sit down.
Did that ever happen to you? Head to first base?
I don't think it did. I don't believe it did. And I also never. I don't believe I ever had mistook outs in an inning. I mean, you always got on base. We were taught as kids from my dad. You know, runners on first and second. 1 out, 2 outs. Know the situation prior to pitch. There you go. You can go now.
You can take his shin guard off and everything. Third walk given up by Syndergaard, who just cannot get it going tonight. He had a great first inning, 2 strikeouts and a ground ball on 10 pitches, and nothing has gone right since. Sean Gilmartin up for a third time now in the Mets bullpen. Adonis Garcia has gone 0 for 2. Struck out and flied out. So with Swanson at second and Inciarte at first, Syndergaard's about to throw his 90th pitch with 1 out in the fourth inning. And Garcia goes after the slider, 0-1.
Garcia is the only one that has hit with no discipline off of Syndergaard. He has been flailing and chasing.
That is not a recipe for success right there. That 35 and 29 in back-to-back innings. Couldn't get to chase that one. Rivera found it in time to keep Swanson anchored at second. 1-1.
It looks like his slider, you know, and I'm not an expert, but like he's getting on top of that slide. I'm expert on pitching. He's not. Al, pay attention to your camera. I'm talking. He's getting on top of that slider too much, and it's breaking straight down. There's no sideways break to it sometimes. He's getting a lot of downward break on his slider.
Garcia lifts that one to right, and Conforto comes over. And that's the second out. You know what I just noticed?
What?
As Freddie Freeman comes up. The three outfielders the Mets are playing tonight are the same three outfielders who played every day early in the season, but they're all in different positions.
That's right. Curtis was in right.
Cespedes
Conforto in left. You're right.
Cespedes was in center. And now they're all in different positions.
Yes, they are.
Isn't that funny? Of course, all of that was necessitated by Cespedes' leg problem, moving him from center to left. And it's reconfigured everything. Here's Freeman with 2 out and 2 on. I think that's the first time that's happened since Conforto's been back, right? That these three guys have played together. Just seems odd. Conforto had no experience in right field until midway through this season, when he got a few games down in Vegas in right field. And he hadn't played center either, and he's done that as well. Freeman homered his last time up, his 31st of the year, and he whacks that one down the right field line toward the corner. Foul. Didn't miss by much. A bullet that almost made it to the foul pole.
Well, here's the home run last inning, 31 opposite field. Was it 14th opposite field, Gary?
14 of the 31. To Freeman. Syndergaard misses with a slider. 1-2.
See how that slider's going straight down, Gare? It's just, there's no sideways break to it, for what it's worth. My observation.
Your observations have great value. That's why you're here. Freeman hits one down the left field line, slicing away from Cespedes, and that'll go to the corner. Swanson is in. Inciarte being waved home, and he will score. It's a 2-run double for Freddie Freeman. He's got a 3 RBI night. Syndergaard having an awful time of it. It's 5-0 Atlanta.
Well, this is not a bad pitch. And location-wise, you see the straight drop down. Look how Freddie bent down to get that ball. And goes right with the pitch on the outside corner. There's 2 outs. You're running on the contact. And Inciarte can fly. And the Braves are feisty.
They are formidable. At least their offense is. And so far tonight, the Mets haven't done anything offensively themselves. And so they have a huge hole to try and dig out of. Now Kemp has flied out and struck out. Terry Collins trying to nurse Syndergaard through this inning. I'm sure if he doesn't get Kemp, we'll see Gilmartin come in to face Marquez.
Yes, one more batter. He's got Kemp twice. And I don't know if Syndergaard's going to go back out there, Gare.
No, I think he's done after this inning one way or another. He's going to be at or over 100 pitches. 5 runs against Noah matches a season high. He gave up 5 to the Nats back in June. And he has been hit hard. He's had trouble with his command. He's given up a ton of foul balls. He's had to work hard from the second inning on. And Kemp grounds one toward the hole. Cabrera keeps it on the infield, but has no play. It's an infield hit for Kemp. Cabrera stopped it to keep a run from scoring, and that's going to be the last pitch Noah Syndergaard throws tonight. 99 pitches in 3 2/3 innings.
Wow.
And he will exit with a 5-0 deficit. Well, Syndergaard's great run through this late season comes to an abrupt halt tonight, and he will leave, and Sean Gilmartin will come in to replace him.
Well, he's only human.
Maybe it's the New Yorker cover jinx. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Gilmartin coming on. We'll be right back to Citi Field. First outing in a week for Sean Gilmartin. Comes in to face Nick Markakis with 1st and 3rd and 2 out. And Markakis hits it off the leg of Gilmartin right to the first baseman Loney for the out. Perfect ricochet. Maybe a little painful for Sean, but he throws one pitch and gets Markakis to end the inning. Braves lead 5-0. By Modell Sporting Goods, your fan gear headquarters. Come on, Met fans, you got to go to Moe's. Well, the Mets have some catching up to do, down 5-0 as they come up in the bottom of the 4th. Aaron Blair looking for his first big league win, and off to a roaring start here with a 5-0 lead.
Well, he has, first time through the order, just poured that fastball in, primarily fastballs.
As Drupal Cabrera has been the only Met base runner. He walked in the first inning. So a lost night for Noah Syndergaard. 3 2/3 innings, 5 runs, 8 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 99 pitches. His ERA went up from 2.43 to 2.63, which still keeps him 3rd in the league for the moment. A shade ahead of Madison Bumgarner, who pitches later tonight.
It's just a game, a start. They just didn't have it, and it happens. He struggled with his command and his fastball early, then it spilled over to his breaking ball. So, and this Brave team, give them credit. They put up some quality at bats. They batted him around pretty good. It doesn't happen too often.
So now the question is, for a Mets team that's been surviving on great pitching and occasional hitting, can they muster enough offense to come back? Cabrera lines one, but right at Markakis, and that's the first out. By the way, we were talking about how Syndergaard had foul ball troubles earlier in the year. How about this? 26 foul balls and only 4 innings tonight. That's an enormous number. Cespedes just struck out in a high fastball his first time up. One of his many admirers. Is it tomorrow that Yoenis goes to Belmont to meet his namesake? He's going to see about a man about a horse.
Oh, I get it. I'm trying to think of some other show with a horse. Of course.
Mr. Ed.
Of course.
Popped up. And Markakis comes charging. Freeman didn't even go back on it, but Markakis didn't need his help, and that's the second out. Road Ahead brought to you by Kia. 2 more games with the Braves the next 2 nights. Then 4 with the Phillies to close out the home schedule, and then the Mets spend the last season of the week of the season on the road in Miami and Philadelphia.
Oh,
you don't want to sit behind that guy.
The Mad Hatter.
Willy Wonka. Granderson takes curveball for a strike. With a few curves that Blair has thrown tonight. Granderson flied out to left his first time up. Changeup off the plate, 2-1. This is not yet the furthest Blair has ever gone into a big league game without allowing a hit. He threw 4 no-hit innings against the Cubs back in April, but did not win that game. Granderson lines a base hit, and the Mets have their first of the night.
Curtis been going up the middle lately. A little more. Outer half of the plate. Ball he could have pulled, but uses left center field.
It's a big night for Curtis. He was awarded the Lou Gehrig Memorial Award, which is sponsored by the Phi Delta Theta fraternity, which Lou Gehrig was a member of at Columbia.
Very nice.
To the major leaguer who best exemplifies the giving character of Lou Gehrig, and Curtis is well deserving of that.
Congratulations.
Here's Rivera, who flied out to right his first time up. So Blair's given up his first hit of the night. And now Rivera gets a hold of one deep left field. Back goes Kemp to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. TJ Rivera homers for the 2nd straight game to get the Mets on the board. third big league home run for T.J. Rivera, who's been everything the Mets could ask for and more. It's now 5-2 Atlanta.
A guy that played in Las Vegas, in the Pacific Coast League, led the league in hitting, did not hit a lot of home runs, has got 3 in the month of September. Fastball in. He likes the ball in. Keep it up. Mets are back in the hunt.
So after 2 out and nobody on, a Granderson single, a Rivera 2-run homer, and now the deficit looks more manageable at 5-2. Here's Conforto swinging and missing at a changeup.
Got a powerful follow through there. Gets the barrel out on that inside corner.
Well, he's off to a rollicking start in his big league career.
There you go, right there. Had to come quick inside. That ball's on the inside corner.
63 at bats into his major league career. T.J. Rivera hitting .349 with 3 home runs. It's quite a start. I mean, he was not supposed to be here. He was a guy who had to clear every obstacle, never drafted, never really considered. All he did was hit at every level. And when he won a PCL batting championship this year, it opened a few eyes, but he's opened a lot more eyes since he got here. I mean, even when they brought him up, it wasn't to play, it was to sit. But Walker got hurt, Flores got hurt, Rivera got his opportunity, and it doesn't look like he's giving it back anytime soon.
Opportunity knocks maybe only once, Gary.
It's only the postman who rings twice. Three and two now to Conforto, trying to keep the inning going. James Loney would be next. By the way, that home run is the 12th that Aaron Blair has allowed in 58 big league innings. That's a lot.
It is. Well, he's not really a sinker ball pitcher. His ball just really runs into right-handers away from lefties.
Conforto hits one past the mound, but Swanson right there in the shift. They'll throw him out and end the inning, but T.J. Rivera gets the Mets comeback started. Second home run in 2 days for Rivera. It's 5-2 Atlanta after 4. The Mets on the board. Steve Gelbs was talking with manager Terry Collins about TJ Rivera before the game tonight.
One of the guys who has propelled himself into that postseason conversation, though, is TJ Rivera. How does a guy like that get overlooked for as long as he has?
Well, it's, you know, I think it's the nature of the game at this level, in professional, but not just in the major leagues. But you know, you're an undrafted player. You're getting opportunities here and there to play. You know, there's guys that sometimes in the minor leagues you put money into that, you know, you got to give them opportunities. And TJ's just one of those kind of guys that, you know, his fact that he's a little versatile, he's played a few positions and he's always hit. And good hitters are hard to find. And you know what? All of a sudden your name starts popping up. Boy, this guy can really swing the bat. Oh boy, this guy can really swing the bat. Then he went to winter ball, won the batting title in winter ball. That got a lot of people's attention. Then he goes back and he has a couple of years he's got to stay in AA because the AAA team's full. What's he do? He just keeps hitting. He never got down. He never just threw his hands up in the air and said, you know, what do I need to do next? He just kept doing it. And finally, you know, he got the opportunity, and now he's here, and he's going to say, I'm going to show people I belong here, and he's done that.
First year in the minor leagues in 2011, he hit over 300. It's pulled foul off the bat of Tyler Flowers. Second year in the minor leagues, TJ hit 320. Third year in the minors in 2013, he hit 289. Still in A ball at that point. In 2014, he hit 349. Last year, between AA and AAA, he hit 325. And all of a sudden, you get people's attention.
Well, I think the most important thing that Terry said in that interview.
Gil Martin handles the comebacker, this time not off his leg. One out.
Is that he never quit, and you can get a label on your back, you can get your dauber down, not do your work, and a manager's there looking. But if you're one of those guys that keeps plugging and working hard and hustling, it gets the attention of those guys down there, and they report up north or out east in New York. And that's why if you don't have that kind of attitude, you're gonna sink in the minor leagues.
And guys, you can tell that Terry Collins relates to TJ Rivera's story a little bit, someone that was largely overlooked for most of his life. And what Terry was saying is, just like TJ, he had to play harder than anybody else just to get noticed. And there's actually nothing wrong with that. Terry said you win with those types of guys. And so TJ Rivera has opened the eyes of a lot of people, namely his manager.
And his versatility certainly has played. He's played every position on the infield extensively, to the point where Terry put him at first base for the first time the other day and felt perfectly comfortable doing that. 1-2 to Peterson. Dansby Swanson waiting on deck. Gil Martin came in for Noah Syndergaard with 2 out in the third. Got a comebacker to strand 2 base runners. It was a painful comebacker off his leg. Swanson strikes out, fooled by the fastball by Gil Martin, and that's the second out of the inning. So here is Sean Gilmartin trying to settle in for what could be a long relief role.
That no rotation of the hips. It's just, that's what you call break out the broom. Do a little sweeping.
I think he was expecting something else.
Oh, that's called tied up.
Yeah. Here's Dansby Swanson, already 2 for 2. He has scored a run. He's driven in a run. He's stolen a base. Swanson, with his 2 hits tonight, has his batting average up over 300 for the year. Came out of Vanderbilt last year. Not the only shortstop prospect that the Braves sported this year. They had young Ozzie Albies, who was playing in AAA and then got hurt late in the season, but looks like, if not as good a prospect as Swanson, awfully close. And they could have those 2 guys playing next to each other on the infield for a long time to come. Albies, I think, just turned 20 years old. We saw him in spring training. He was very impressive. Two and 1 to Swanson, and the breaking ball in for a strike. 2-2.
Well, Gil Martin has big sweeper. Sweeping hook. Sweeping hooks don't have a lot of bite. They just break a lot.
Fastball got him looking. Terrific inning for Sean Gilmartin. He sets him down 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts. He's retired 4 in a row in relief. We're halfway through. 5-2 Atlanta. There's 2-run homer, putting the Mets in front. Land Rover above and beyond, and put the Mets in front and got them on the board. They're down 5-2 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Mets will have the lower third of the order coming up with Loney, Rivera, and the pitcher's spot. And let's see, the Mets will get the bullpen active. I was thinking Gilmartin looked effective enough that maybe they'd run through his spot in the batting order, let him bat, but Josh Edgen's going to get up now.
Too many arms out there. Got to get back in the game. Every game's important.
I mean, think about it this way, though. If you had your starting pitcher in the game and you're down by 3 in the bottom of the 5th, would you necessarily bat for him?
No.
This early?
Not a starting pitcher if he's throwing good. But a reliever, yes.
2-0 to Loney. The only argument I'd make there is that Gilmartin was starting games in the minors, so he's got the experience of, working multiple innings. And we've seen him hit. Remember, he had the hit in the 18-inning game in St. Louis last year?
That's true.
Oh, you forgot that.
Fair. A vague remembrance.
Maybe you got your fire water and forgot. I remember you calling for that at some point.
Oh, that was the game they couldn't drive in a run, remember?
I do remember.
Oh, my gosh.
Loney grounded out to second base his first time up. And he drives one to center field, chasing Inciarte back and way back. It's over his head. Loney digs for second. He's in standing with a leadoff double. 15th double of the year for James Loney. And he hit that ball a ton.
Well, from the deeper part of the park, right down the pipe, fastball right on it. And Blair is going to get hurt when he's down. He's a bit more effective upstairs. Inciarte ran a long way, just couldn't catch up to it.
Now Rene Rivera, who grounded out his first time up. That's the 3rd hit against Blair, who didn't allow until 2 out of the 4th. Now has given up hits to 3 of the last 4 batters. And if you're Blair, you got to be thinking about the finish line here, right? Getting through 5 with the lead. 12 starts in the big leagues, no wins.
If you're Rivera right now, you've got to advance the runner. You've got to advance the runner. A pinch hitter coming up. You get this game 5-3.
Kelly Johnson on deck to pinch hit. Oh, 2 to Rene Rivera. And he gets the lean out of the way. 1-2. Rene starting for the 4th time in the last 6 games. More for his defense than his bat. But he has been Syndergaard's battery mate for half the season. He's become Seth Lugo's battery mate, and of late he's been getting other starts as well, as Travis d'Arnaud continues to struggle with the bat. This series sets up much like the one did over the weekend, where the Mets will face the opposing team's ace in the 2nd game. Remember, they faced Irvin Santana Saturday, and he was great. They face Julio Teheran tomorrow night. That makes this game even more important to try and come back and win. Slider gets him looking, and Blair has his 3rd strikeout of the night. So 1 out in the inning.
Breaking ball. Started too quick. Shoulder flew open.
Now Johnson, who started at 3rd base yesterday, went 1 for 3 and a walk. Loney at 2nd and 1 out. And Kelly, the former Brave, takes high for ball 1. Johnson has broken the hearts of his old team on more than one occasion this year. Had a game-winning home run in Atlanta. Had another huge hit in the series in Atlanta last week. And Blair falls behind at 2-0. Jose Reyes waiting on deck. Cut by Kelly, and he fouls it back. 2-1. 24-year-old Aaron Blair, 13th big league start, his 4th against the Mets, and his chance is here to get himself an opportunity to be a winning pitcher for the first time. Outside to Johnson. 3-1.
And Freeman really guarding the line. I think that's just way too close. I know you got the 2nd baseman over there, but you can get 3 more steps off that line.
Well, remember, Kelly burned him down the line in Atlanta.
I know.
Might be why he's playing that far over.
I would do that. I would move Freeman 5 feet to his right, and then move the 2nd baseman 5 feet over.
Most teams put 3 infielders on the right side against Kelly Johnson, who's mostly a pull hitter. Now it's worth the count to 3-2. And he fouls away the fastball.
Big cut.
And the Braves are going to get the bullpen going in the 5th inning. Chaz Rowe is up. Blair worked a minor league game 5 days ago through 108 pitches, so pitch count shouldn't be an issue. It's at 73 right now. Seventh pitch of the at bat coming to Johnson. And Kelly goes down swinging on the breaking ball. Back-to-back strikeouts for Blair after the leadoff double.
Well, what I've seen differently from Blair was the last time he pitched when the Mets sent him packing to the minor leagues back, was it May? He threw nothing but breaking stuff, couldn't get it over, then had to come in with his fastball. This start, he is throwing his fastball. You see Colorado and the Cardinals are underway. He's throwing his fastball and getting ahead, and then it's making his breaking ball more effective.
So now it's left to Jose Reyes with 2 out. Loney's still at second. Jose is 0 for 2. Lined out to center field his last time. He gets under 1 and pops it up. Peterson waiting for it. Side retired. Nice job by Blair after the leadoff double by Loney. Gets the next 3 hitters, and he's got his 5 innings in with the lead. 5-2 Braves. Who have opened up a 1-length lead in the National League wild card race since August 20th. Middle of that series in San Francisco. They've won 20 of 27. They have the best ERA in the majors, and they have hit 44 home runs in those 27 games. And that's enabled the Mets to come from 5.5 games behind the second wild card spot to a game in front in the first wild card spot. Josh Edgin on to pitch the 6th inning for New York.
There's Josh's numbers, and everybody's getting a little play here. Godell came in yesterday, did a great job.
Blair's going to stay in and hit for himself, and he takes the pitch up and away, ball 1. Meanwhile, in Colorado, David Dahl just singled in a run against Carlos Martinez in the bottom of the 1st, and the Rockies lead the Cardinals 1-0. The Cardinals basically saved their season the last 2 days, particularly that Saturday night win in San Francisco after the Giants had won the first 2 games, and they rallied for 2 in the 9th against Santiago Casilla. Then they got shutout pitching from Alex Reyes yesterday. Off the end of the bat, down to Loney, and Edgin covers, 1 out. So 1 out and nobody on. Ender Inciarte coming up. Let's go inside baseball with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Well, Gary, you mentioned the shutout baseball from Alex Reyes. 7 shutout innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. He is the youngest Cardinals pitcher at the age of 22 to have a line that good or better in 73 years. And Alex Reyes now becomes a really interesting potential ace in the hole for these Cardinals, because you look at where they are right now, and one of the reasons that they've struggled at times this season is that starting pitching has not been what it was last year, where they led Major League Baseball with a 2.99 ERA. Wainwright has struggled a lot recently, 10 starts, 5.5 ERA about in the last 10 starts for him. Jaime Garcia out of the rotation now. Mike Leake hasn't been good. So between Reyes and Carlos Martinez, those two might have to be the guys here down the stretch for them.
Absolutely, Steve, and that makes tonight's game for the Cardinals crucial. That first game at Coors Field as Inciarte slaps one toward the middle. Nice play, Cabrera spinning throw, and he got him. What a play as Drupal Cabrera. He knew he was going to have to hurry against the speed of Inciarte, and he got rid of it in a flash.
Just a tremendous play, getting to the ball, but the big part of that play was, watch this, the spinorama, as you call it, Gare. That is big league right there. Just a great play. Very nice. Yeah, nice stretch by Loney.
He's been working on that.
Gotta get.
Donis Garcia has struck out and flied out twice, 0 for 3. 0-2 to Garcia. We're talking about the Cardinals and the import of winning tonight in Colorado because they have Carlos Martinez, their ace, on the mound. And even more so than the Mets, it's absolutely essential that the Cardinals win every game with their ace, since they're the team on the outside looking in. Here's the 0-2. Upstairs. Well, as for Alex Reyes, the pride of Elizabeth High School in New Jersey, that's what he has done so far. Mets got a little taste of that watching Reyes in St. Louis pitch in relief.
Hard thrower.
Now in the rotation. 2-2 to Garcia with Freddie Freeman on deck. So the Mets bullpen has retired 6 in a row. Gilmartin got all 4 of his hitters, striking out a pair, and now Edgin. He gave up a hit to his only batter yesterday, but he's retired his first 2 tonight. 2-2, and he runs the count full to Garcia. Three-two coming. Got it with a breaking ball. Josh Edgin showing a little different wrinkle. More a curve than a slider that time. And he strikes out Garcia to get himself through the 6th. 1-2-3 for Edgin. Still 5-2 Atlanta. At you, Mr. Met. Line score brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Mets were down 5-0. T.J. Rivera hit a 2-run homer in the 4th. Aaron Blair still pitching in the 6th and gets ahead of Asdrubal Cabrera, who has walked and lined out to right, 0 for 1. Cabrera, Cespedes, and Granderson 2, 3, and 4 in the Mets order against Blair, who is seeking his first big league win. And it's lined right to the second baseman Peterson, so 2 line drive outs for Cabrera tonight.
Cabrera continues to swing the bat incredibly well.
Now it's Cespedes, who has struck out and flied out tonight, 0 for 2. Think about Aaron Blair in the context of where he is early in his big league career. Earned runs became a statistic over 100 years ago. There's only one other pitcher in those 100 years who've had an ERA of 8 or higher in his first 12 big league starts than Aaron Blair. Cubs had a pitcher named Angel Guzman who was 0-6, 8.32 in his first 12 starts, 2006, 2007. And Blair came in at 8.23. Nice pick by Garcia going to his left, and he throws out Cespedes 2 away. So that's what Blair is working against. He's had that difficult a start to his career.
Nice play to his left, Garcia. Love the first name, Adonis.
Strong. Now Curtis Granderson, who had the first made hit, singled to center in the 4th, came in on the Rivera home run. Takes a fastball for a strike. Curtis Granderson, who began his career as a speedy center fielder with the Tigers, developing more power over the midpoint of his career.
Became a pull hitter over at the Yankees. That short right field porch. The 52, what he had 50+ home runs twice, Gary?
40+.
40+.
Well, he had 26 last year for the Mets, 28 this year, and he's been closing with a rush. Whacks that one toward the gap in left center. That's down for a base hit. Inciarte cuts it off, and Granderson's going to play cautious here, down by 3 runs, and settle for a single. Smart, because Inciarte's got a terrific arm.
Very strong throw in by Inciarte. And again, a ball down the middle that Curtis is opting to go and use the opposite field here.
Well, we saw the other night him hit an opposite field home run, the first he had hit to left field all season.
Got to do a little twist there, being left-handed. Oh, that's fun. God, I wish I could do that.
There's a certain elegance about you left-hand throwers. Well, now T.J. Rivera, who provided the heroics his last time up. A 2-run homer, his second in 2 days, his third in the big leagues. Roger McDowell paying a visit to Aaron Blair, talking about how to pitch to Rivera, who went after the first pitch his last at bat. He hit it out of the ballpark. T.J. Rivera was never a home run hitter in the minor leagues. .35 home runs in over 2,600 minor league at bats. Well, he's got 3 big league home runs now in just 63 at bats. And he's hitting .349. There's the fastball off the plate for ball 1.
Notice how they're going to keep the ball away, I think, this time. Another fastball away.
Is it too soon for there to be a book on T.J. Rivera?
I'm sure they've got scouts in the minor leagues that have followed him.
Well, what have you seen?
Well, I don't want to give a scouting report to the opposing teams that might be watching Garrett. I'll say one thing. He's very, very fast bat. He's a swinger. And he can go the opposite field, too.
Rounds that one to Swanson. And the fourth play ends the inning. Aaron Blair matching his career high by going 6 innings. And he's got a 5-2 lead as we head to the 7th. Things are getting hot at the grill. Maybe a little too hot. Can we work on that? We need to send somebody out there. Freddie Freeman leads off the 7th inning for the Braves. Freddie's had a big night already with a home run and a 2-run double. Now facing Josh Edgin. Finds the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Edgin pitched a 1-2-3 6th inning after Sean Gilmartin retired all 4 of his batters in relief. Keith's getting an oil change while we speak. Fouled away. I mean,
what? I'm just icing my knee because it hurts. And all of a sudden the ice melted and it spilled on my chair. So when you're an athlete, you learn how to do these things.
It's a good thing that you can take care of that yourself. I don't want anybody to think that you're high maintenance or anything.
No. I learned when I was a rookie that Bob Gibson ran me out of the trainer's room. So I've learned to do all this myself.
Roll your old bandages. You're like off the fist toward the hole, cut off by Reyes. The long throw, not in time, and Freeman has an infield hit. Freeman getting base hits of all varieties tonight. Home run, double, and now a little jam shot that goes for an infield hit.
When you're hot, you're hot. And he beats it, boy. Good hustle down that line.
So Freeman has his 3rd hit of the night, and what are we doing now?
The chair got wet.
Oh. So Carey is bringing Keith a new chair. Keith's even cleaning the floor now. This is awesome.
Well, we're not supposed to wear jeans on the air, but
well, you had to change.
I was icing earlier and it melted, and my slacks got all wet.
There goes Freeman, and it's fouled away. Freddie Freeman taken off.
So I had luck. I always leave a extra shirt here.
What Keith is doing right now is he is mopping the floor with his foot and a paper towel. This is awesome.
And I never worked in the service industry.
You know, we put you to work in the parking lot before. Maybe now it's time to put you on the blowers they use to clean the stands.
I appreciate it. I had enough ice for the night. It's a disaster.
I just want to know, does the ice help your knee?
Yes, it does. Because it numbs it.
This is third.
I'm an ice guy, you know that.
This is I know.
Whew.
Well, that brings us to the Affinity Health Report for tonight. Brought to you by Affinity Health Plan, serving the needs of New Yorkers for over 30 years. And I'm sure Steven Matz is getting some ice on his shoulder. He's set to throw a bullpen session Wednesday. That might be in Florida or it might be in New York. And it's possible that Steven could pitch on Friday. Kemp strikes out on the high fastball. And Edgin has his 2nd strikeout. The concern with Steven Matz, as you look at that fastball to strike out Kemp, is that Steven hasn't pitched in a game in 5 weeks. And his last bullpen session was a 30-pitch bullpen session. If he does come back to pitch Friday, he's not going to be able to throw more than 35, 40 pitches.
Right.
So
you don't know how effective he's going to be.
Right. So
and all the games are so important.
Exactly. I mean, the Mets were going to do the same thing with Jacob deGrom before he got scratched and finally shut down. But, it's a concern. And the Mets aren't going to make any decisions about Matz until he throws that bullpen session on Wednesday. And then they'll have a little better idea what to expect. Nick Markakis is 2 for 3 today. And it's the breaking ball in the air to center. Easy play for Granderson. And that's the 2nd out. So Edgin looking strong after giving up the infield hit. He retires Kemp and Markakis. Let's have the bullpen cranking behind him as Tyler Flowers steps in. Flowers has walked, struck out, and hit a comebacker. The Braves bullpen is getting ready as well. Aaron Blair, as we mentioned, has not gone beyond 6 innings in his major league career. He's got 6 in the books today. And so Mauricio Cabrera and his 100-mile-an-hour arm are up in the bullpen. Josh Edgin, an inning and 2/3, has matched his longest outing of the season. Last time he went 2 innings was 2013, long before his Tommy John surgery. Josh became a valued member of the Mets bullpen in 2014, but then in spring training came up with a bad elbow last year and missed all of last season following Tommy John surgery. It took him a good portion of this season to get back. That's lined into center field, a base hit for Flowers. Freeman to second. He's going to turn and head for third. Granderson will get it into second base. And so the Braves have runners at the corners with 2 down. Second hit given up in the inning by Edgin.
Fastball down the middle, belt high, and Freddie Freeman is deceptively quick here. He's 2 outs on the run here. He never hesitates. We know that Granderson doesn't have the strong arm. Freddie gets going. He got long legs and long strides. I mean, it doesn't look pretty, but it gets the job done.
So now with runners at first and third, you got the left-hand hitter Peterson coming up, so Edgin will stay in to face him. Peterson is 0 for 2 and a walk. Grounded out, struck out his last 2 at bats. And the slider in for a strike. It's a big spot here for Edgin, trying to keep this game where it is at 5-2. And Peterson lays off the slider. 1-1. It looks like he has slowed down the velocity of that slider.
He's changing speeds with it instead of being a 1-speed pitcher, because his breaking ball, Gary, is flat. So if he's able to change speeds with it, throw a hard one as well as a soft one, that's going to make him more effective.
Rivera asking for it again. And Peterson again lays off, and it's 2-1. Noah Syndergaard lasted just 3 2/3 innings tonight. Took him 99 pitches to get there. He gave up 5 runs and 8 hits. But the bullpen so far has held the fort. Gil Martin for an inning and a third. Edgin for an inning and 2/3. But Edgin with trouble to work out of with 2 out here in the 7th. And he comes inside with the fastball and falls behind 3-1. Dansby Swanson, a right-hand hitter, is on deck. So this is undoubtedly going to be Edgin's last hitter. (3-1) to Peterson. Inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. And so Edgin gives up 2 hits and a walk here in the 7th, and he will exit. And the Mets will bring in a right-hander to face Swanson with the bases loaded and 2 out. Call to the bullpen is brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Edgin will exit. Hansel Robles will come in. We'll be right back. Well, the iPads have been introduced to the dugouts this year, and Kevin Seitzer, the Braves hitting coach, giving a little scouting report on Hansel Robles on the iPad.
And Hansel, they've seen enough of Hansel. I'm sure he's telling him he throws a hard thrower, hard slider, make him throw strikes. With the 34 walks and 72 innings pitched, it's too many.
Big spot for Robles to try and keep the Mets in this game. Bases loaded, 2 out. Dansby Swanson already 2 for 3 today. He's driven in a run. His first time facing Robles, and he goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1. Swanson drove in a run with a second inning single, and then singled, stole a base, and scored a run in the 4th. Freeman at third, Flowers at second, Peterson at first with 2 out. The Braves now have 10 hits in the game. Hansel Robles, the 4th Met pitcher of the night. And Swanson loops one into shallow left. That's going to fall for a hit, and 2 runs will score. Freeman is in, Flowers right behind him, and the Braves now lead 7-2. Swanson's 3rd hit of the night, his 2nd and 3rd RBIs.
Well, that gets back the 2 runs put on the board by Rivera. Blooper here, way inside, but you know what? Good cut at it, got jammed, strong enough to muscle it out. Boy, he got in the pots and pans. Mortally wounded that bat, but that bat went down with a fight.
Second career 3-hit game for Dansby Swanson, and both have come against the Mets. Now Blake Lally, who was a late call up by the Braves, a catcher, left-hand batter, and he fouls back the first pitch from Robles. So Robles, this is kind of the way things are going for him lately. Comes in with the bases loaded, makes a pretty good pitch, and gives up a hit that brings in 2 runs. Meanwhile, Randall Grichuk has hit a 2-run homer for the Cardinals in the 3rd, and they lead the Rockies 2-1 at Coors Field. Came against Tyler Anderson, pitching tonight for Colorado. So the Mets again find themselves 5 runs in arrears. And Lally dribbles 1 foul, and it's 0-2.
I must say, I woke up this morning, Gary, a little later than normal, and I was a little bit leery of this Brave team coming in, because what we saw with them in Atlanta, it was quite apparent that it was the Mets took 2 out of 3 there, but they made the Mets earn it. They knew they were going to come here ready to play.
And what gives you more trepidation now is if the Braves win this game, now you're facing their ace Julio Teheran tomorrow night. That's a lot of Robert Gsellman going in the 2nd game of the series.
And the Braves kind of roughed up Gsellman, did they not?
It was his most difficult start thus far.
And he bounced back in Washington nicely, Gsellman, Robert.
Lally cracks one to center, chasing Granderson back, and he gets there to retire the side. Granderson's played a nice center field, made a good play there to go back and get Lally's drive. But the Braves cash 2 on Swanson's 3rd hit of the night. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field. It's 7-2 Atlanta. Ball is brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Tri-Honda dealer for great savings on the 2016 models. That's down by 5 as they come to bat in the bottom of the 7th, and the fireballing Mauricio Cabrera comes in.
Well, the Mets had faced him in the first game of that series when the Mets came back in that 4-run 8th, and they tagged Cabrera for all those 4 runs.
Only a third of an inning. Hoping for similar success tonight against the 100-mile-an-hour fastball of Cabrera. And Conforto takes inside for ball for a strike 1. Conforto has popped up and grounded out 0 for 2, getting his second straight start after a 2-hit 2 RBI night last night. James Loney on deck, then Rene Rivera for the Mets, who've had just 4 hits tonight, all against Aaron Blair, who's in line for his first major league win. And that one sails away 1-1. Blair threw 85 pitches over 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a home run, and now the Braves bullpen trying to make it stand up.
So he's got 3 innings to bite his nails, Mr. Blair.
That's cracked down the line, a foul ball. A 92-mile-an-hour changeup from Cabrera. And Conforto broke his bat. Gets a new one. Loney on deck. Braves bullpen has been inconsistent this year, but here's a note that works in their favor, particularly against the Mets team trying to come back in this game. Braves bullpen has allowed fewer home runs than any bullpen in the National League. Conforto to shallow left. On comes Kemp to dive, and he makes the catch.
What a play.
Well, the 2-time Gold Glover doesn't move quite as quick as he used to in the outfield, but he got to that one with a nice diving play for the first out.
Comes in hard charging. Nice play. Well done.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now James Loney, who doubled to deep center field his last time up. And he takes a slider for a strike.
Pretty good slider right there. He did not have his command, Cabrera, when we were in Atlanta in that first game 10 days ago. He walked 3 guys in a third of an inning.
And he beats Loney with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 0-2. Brandon Nimmo has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter, with Rene Rivera due up next. And that's drilled to right field. Toward the line comes Markakis, but he'll have to play it on a hop. So a base hit for Loney. His second hit of the night. And now Nimmo has gone back to the dugout.
Slider down and in, got a little out in front. Towards the end of the bat, he did not. Waited a split second longer. That would have been a bomb.
So Loney with his second hit of the game, and now with the runner aboard rather than Nimmo, Terry Collins will send up Alejandro De Aza, his best left-handed pinch hitter, with Kelly Johnson having already been used. De Aza got the start in center field yesterday, went 0 for 3 and a walk. Has reached base his last 2 pinch hitting opportunities. Let's try to stack up some base runners here in the 7th and come back against Cabrera and the Braves bullpen. And De Aza lifts one foul. So De Aza is batting for Rene Rivera. The pitcher spot due up next, and now Nimmo will come back out on deck.
Terry's calling out all the troops here, managing to win.
Well, he's got a 13-man bench, and if necessary, he'll use them all. Bruce around the bat rack. Might be if the Mets get 2 men on here that they use Bruce to try and hit a bomb and get them right back in the game. And De Aza takes it high, and it's 2-1. So Cabrera again fighting his command the way we saw in Atlanta. Loney at first and 1 out. And De Aza lines one to left. Kemp coming on, diving again, and he makes another terrific catch.
Jeez.
Can you believe that? Twice in this inning, Matt Kemp has left his feet and made terrific catches to save Mauricio Cabrera.
This one was much more difficult. What a play. What a great jump he got on this ball. Top left of your screen, watch him come in. You got a great jump, and that was the difference right there.
Boy, have yourself an inning. Mets have had a number of balls they've hit hard tonight with little result. And Kemp making 2 terrific plays. His pitcher likes it, so does his first baseman. So 2 out with Loney at first, and now Nimmo will be the pinch hitter. Brandon got 1 at bat in the game yesterday and grounded out. Hitting .234 at the major league level. He's had a couple of pinch hits to his credit. Brandon was among those honored before the game today with the Sterling Awards. The co-player of the year in the Mets organization. He gets one in the air to shallow right, and in comes Markakis. And that retires the side. Well, Mauricio Cabrera able to keep the Mets off the board in the 7th with much assistance from Matt Kemp. The 2-time Gold Glover looked like it out there in the 7th inning. First he robs Conforto, then he takes one away from De Aza. Big inning for Kemp and the Braves. 7-2 they lead.
Folks, where the Mets are down 5-2 here. And we are in the top of the 8th inning. And Logan Verrett comes in to pitch in relief. Plawecki is behind the plate. No switch in the lineup. Plawecki in the 8-hole. Verrett in the 9-hole. And Gary's back. And Gary, take it away.
Would you like me to mop up some more melted ice from the floor for you? Top of the batting order for the Braves in the 8th inning. Ender Inciarte 1 for 3 and a walk today. He scored a run. He's driven in a run.
Last time Verrett pitched, he pitched an inning and 2/3, clean, no runs, 2 hits in Washington.
Gets the fastball in on Inciarte. 93 from Verrett. That may be the hardest pitch we've ever seen him throw. There's your Land Rover Braves box score. Big night for Dansby Swanson with 3 RBIs. Freddie Freeman a home run, a double, 3 hits, 3 RBIs. Came into the night talking about the Braves offense and how effective it has been over the last month. And it has proven to be exactly that tonight. They drove Noah Syndergaard out of the game in the 4th and a couple of runs against the Mets bullpen in the 7th.
They were very tenacious against Noah tonight, excuse me. But just one of those days when Noah just didn't have it and just didn't have command of his fastball. Then later had trouble with his breaking ball. Then those things happen.
Adonis Garcia on deck. Then Freddie Freeman in the 8th. And Inciarte keeps the at bat alive. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Scott, and the Pix 11 News team with breaking news as it happens. Linda Church has your forecast 6 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, bringing you the heart of the story. Inciarte takes strike 3 call. Fastball at the knees from Verrett. And he's got the first out in the 8th. Well, this is our final Pix 11 broadcast of the year. Such a fine partnership between SNY and Pix 11, allowing us to bring you these games over the air. And our great friend Steve Olbaum, who has been part of Mets baseball telecasts for 3 decades now, continues to do great work at Pix 11, and we appreciate all of Steve's help in helping us bring these games to you on Pix 11. And it's a partnership we certainly hope will continue for years to come. Garcia chasing one, and it's 0-2. Nothing like a well-kept scorecard. I've never understood, though, maybe you understand this better than I, the scorecard pencil with no eraser. What is the point of keeping your scorecard in pencil if there's no eraser?
Yep, that's true. It's a good point. That's like those golf course pencils, but you can have an old-fashioned erasure.
Well, but then you have to bring that to the ballpark with you. So when they sell you the scorecard, they sell you the pencil with no eraser. So you have to bring your own eraser from home like that. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, if I have to, they should.
I have always kept my scorecards in pen.
Me too.
So why do you have an eraser?
Because I mark in Roman numerals the innings pitched as they progress to my pitcher's side of the chart.
So you're updating in pencil and then filling in
right.
at the end in pen.
So I got innings pitched, hits, runs, earned runs, walks, Ks, and I do it in pencil in Roman numerals as the game progresses. And when it's over, when the another
strikeouts for Verrett.
And for all you folks that want to watch the game, don't get mad at me. So there's 2 strikeouts. I would put Verrett. I would put right here that's in Roman numerals. And then when he's out of the game and his numbers, his book is closed, I write it in pen and then erase the pencil.
Seems like a lot of work.
It's fun. I get boards up here sometimes.
I've noticed. Here's Freddie Freeman. Just a triple shy of the cycle. He has 6 triples this year. Well, that's a nicely manicured scorecard.
Yeah.
K's are a little funky. I mean, K's, I think, became the symbol for strikeouts because they have 3 pieces, right?
Oh, is that right? I did not know that. Okay, that's interesting. Makes sense.
That person in their scorecard appeared to have more of a 1-piece K than a 3-piece. See, got the vertical and the 2 diagonals. Form of 3 strikes. Kind of like a sandwich.
It's fun to keep score. Gary.
Here's the 1-2, and that's drilled down the line of foul ball.
Boy, Freddie Freeman just looks like he's so confident at the plate, and he is. He's red hot. 23-game hitting streak extended tonight. A home run. It's 31st. He is really swinging a hot bat, and notice how he chokes up.
1-2 coming, and he drills that one to right, but Conforto can't make the play as that ball had tons of topspin on it, and Freeman has his 4th hit of the night.
Well, I'll tell you what, Conforto did a great job there, and that was what you'd call a humpback line drive. Top spin, slider, and he did. This ball could have got by him.
And Freddie might have had his triple.
So nice save right there.
I mean, Michael thought he was going to be able to catch that ball, but then when that ball started to sink with the topspin, he did a great job of just gloving it. Freeman's 4th 4-hit game of the year. 2 of them have come against the Mets. Now Matt Kemp 1 for 4, and those 2 great catches. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan Furniture, furnishing your style. Well, the Rockies had tied up the Cardinals 2-2, but the Cardinals just regained the lead. And they regained the lead on a 2-run double by the pitcher, Carlos Martinez. And they now lead the Rockies 4-2 in the 4th. If the Mets were to lose this game and the Cardinals win, the Cardinals would catch the Mets, or it would catch the would be a game behind the Mets. They could catch the Giants if they were to lose tonight. It's also complicated.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to go down to the wire. No one's going to go away. The Mets have one advantage, and that is the scheduling. That is for sure in their favor. We've talked ad nauseum about it, but
7 games with the Phillies, 3 with the Marlins, and after tonight 2 more with the Braves. That's line to right field, a base hit for Kemp, his 2nd hit of the night. Freeman's going to go 1st to 3rd. So back-to-back 2-out hits. Ball gets loose on the infield, but Reyes backs it up. So Kemp having himself quite a night. Couple of hits, those 2 great catches and left.
Goes right with that pitch nicely.
So 1st and 3rd and 2 out. Now Nick Markakis. He has 2 hits tonight, 2 for 4. Braves now with 13 hits overall.
Markakis, a .313 hitter with runners in scoring position. 86 RBIs on the year with 12 home runs. That's hitting in the clutch.
National League scoreboard brought to you by Toyota. The game of interest to Met fans is right there in the middle, where the Cardinals have gone in front of the Rockies 4-2 in the 4th. Of interest in the Miami lead over Washington. The home run by Stanton is 1st since coming back from the disabled list. And apparently hit it long enough for 3 or 4 home runs.
Well, he just can't stay healthy, can he? He just cannot play a full season. I'd like to see him have a full year and see what his power numbers are, Garrett.
1-1 to Markakis. That's drilled to right field, and Conforto moves back to get it. That retires the side. 3 hard hit balls in a row against Logan Barrett, but he gets through the inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th, and that's down 7-2. Coming up against the 26-year-old right-hander Jose Ramirez,
who pitched for the Yankees in 14 and 15. Seattle last year. Really just had cups of coffee. Not much experience in the big leagues. Getting an opportunity here. He pitched 2/3 of an inning in the first game in Atlanta against the Mets.
Jose Reyes, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Yoenis Cespedes due up for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. Mets have had just 5 hits tonight. Reyes has gone 0 for 3, struck out, lined out, popped up, and he takes high from Ramirez, 1-0. Aaron Blair went the first 6 innings. He's in line for his first big league win in his 13th start.
Well, this is where Jose has thrived, leading off late, getting on base, starting a rally. 2-0, down 3 runs. Maybe you want to take. Oh.
And he does take a strike. Big news on the scoreboard in the American League. Boston won the first game of their series in Baltimore 5-2. Their 5th straight win. The Red Sox now have a 4-game lead in the AL East after sweeping 4 from the Yankees. And in that game, David Ortiz hit his 35th home run. If he does retire, that would tie him with Dave Kingman for the most home runs ever by a player in his last season. 3-2 now to Reyes.
Hard thrower. He's going to get it.
Well, or he might come back.
That's true.
Might have to give the presence back, but I mean, how can you retire when you're that good? Rick Porcello got his 21st win tonight. Reyes fouls off the fastball. Mookie Betts also hit his 31st home run for the Red Sox. I don't think anybody thought he had that kind of power.
They're going to be quite formidable.
They can hit.
They can hit, and they got a decent, good starting rotation. They get some bullpen.
Outside, ball 4, and Reyes is on base to start the bottom of the 8th. With the second walk for Atlanta pitching tonight. Cabrera will come up with a man on. So with Boston going 4 games up in the division, that drops Baltimore back into the wild card race. They're right now just a half game in front of Toronto for the first spot. Toronto plays in Seattle tonight against the red hot Mariners, who are only 2 games behind Toronto for that second spot. That's getting a little closer all the way around. Tigers are also 2 games out. Cabrera gets under one to right field. Marquez chasing back, should have room on the warning track. That's the first out. Mets have had a number of near misses tonight, especially Cabrera's. Hit 2 line drives into outs, and that one to the warning track. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Cespedes. Johannes is 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out, flied out, grounded out. Well, with Baltimore losing, that's the American League wild card up to the moment. As we said, Toronto playing in Seattle tonight. Detroit has the night off after finally winning a game from Cleveland yesterday. They're second in 15 games against the Indians. But it came at a cost. Ian Kinsler got hit in the helmet by Trevor Bauer. See that?
I saw that.
And then he hit Victor Martinez.
Yes, I saw that too, and he was distraught on the mound. Fortunately, the one at the beaning was a glancing blow. Just ricocheted off the helmet.
He did come out of the game later, although actually I think he was ejected from the game. But they said Kinsler might have a slight concussion. They were checking him. But if I were the Indians, I'd be very concerned now that they've lost Salazar and Carrasco from their rotation, and Bauer, who had 3 batters yesterday, that's their second starter now behind Kluber.
Yep.
Curtis Granderson on deck. 0-2 from Ramirez, and it's up and in, and Cespedes evades. 94. Head high.
Not that close.
Two and two. Inside, so after getting ahead 2 strikes, Ramirez runs a full count to Cespedes.
I just got to believe that Brian Snitker is going to have a short lease on this young man here. Not so young man. He's a young man. He's in his 20s. He's young. But he's not going to let this lead get away.
Grounded down to third. That's a foul ball. Cardinals added a run in that 4th inning, and they lead the Rockies 5-2 now, going to the bottom of the 4th at Coors Field. Giants and Dodgers start in about 15 minutes. Kershaw and Bumgarner at Dodger Stadium.
Great matchup there.
3-2 coming. In the air, deep left field. Back goes Kemp. He's got room. And he makes the catch. Cespedes got under that.
2 in a row. 2-0 in a row near misses, Gare. You saw look at Cespedes' reaction right down the pipe. Got towards the end a little quick, and he knew it. Yep.
So 2 out. Reyes still at first, and now Granderson is 2 for 3 tonight. By the way, it's no accident that Bumgarner and Kershaw are both pitching tonight the same night that Syndergaard pitched.
Oh yes.
Puts them all in line.
Puts them all in line.
I mean, the Dodgers are probably not going to be in the wild card game, but if they were, Kershaw would be ready. If the Giants are in the wild card game, Bumgarner's lined up to pitch that game. Pulled toward the hole, and Granderson has his 3rd hit of the night. So Curtis with a 3-hit game, and the Mets have 2 men on with T.J. Rivera coming up.
Finally pulled one, Curtis, right in the hole.
So here's Rivera, who accounted for the only 2 Met runs tonight with a 2-run homer in the 4th. Granderson has 3 hits, Loney has 2 hits, and Rivera has a home run. Those are all the Met hits tonight. DJ 7 for 16 on this homestand with a couple of home runs. So 1 from Ramirez.
Well, Ramirez has a good live arm, but he can make a mistake. He's not finely tuned. He's not a command pitcher. He's just a hard thrower.
Rivera pops it up. Coming back is Flowers. And has room to make the catch. And so the Mets are turned aside in the bottom of the 8th. Mets strand 2. And on to the 9th we go. It's been the Braves' night so far. They lead at 7-2. From tonight, the New York Giants hit the road to play the Minnesota Vikings. Pix 11 is your home for all the action beginning at 7:30. Greg will be watching Eli and company right here on Pix 11.
That'll be a big defense up against those Giants, Greggy baby. And there's
Rafael Montero, bumped from the rotation, gets an assignment in relief.
There's Montero. So it's his first relief appearance?
Yes.
Yes. So
well, he had two early in the season,
right,
back
but
in April.
Since he got recalled,
since he's been back,
yes.
He had 3 starts and now will be used in relief. Tyler Flowers will lead off in the 9th inning. Flowers is 1 for 3 and a walk. And Montero fires one high for ball 1. Now Montero had his crack at it. He had that first start where he walked 6 but threw 5 scoreless innings. But the next 2 starts, the walks continued, and
well, the last
start had a premature end to it.
Well, the last start was just an implosion, and that was the end of that.
That gave Gabriel Noah his chance, and he came through nicely yesterday. What happens that next time through the rotation depends on the health of Steven Matz. If he's ready to go on Friday, when that spot comes up. Jace Peterson on deck, then Dansby Swanson. But for now, Montero's role is exactly this. Give the Mets an inning when they need one. Here, just trying to hold the fort with the Mets down by 5 runs in the 9th. Braves 7 runs, 13 hits. The Mets 2 runs and 6 hits. And Flowers takes it high, full count. Montero, the 6th Met pitcher of the night. Noah Syndergaard had an early exit, 3 2/3. He allowed 5 runs, 8 hits. Sean Gilmartin was outstanding for an inning and a third. Josh Edgin pitched an inning and 2/3 and then ran into trouble. That's lined the other way, but right at Conforto, and that's the first out. Also, Robles came in with the bases loaded, gave up the 2-run hit to Dansby Swanson in the 7th inning that opened this game up. And they'll come back to make it 5-2. Swanson's hit made it 7-2.
Broken bat blooper down the left field line.
Logan Barrett worked a scoreless 8th, and now Montero in the 9th. Here's Peterson, who's 0 for 2, but has drawn 2 walks today. After we're done here on Pix 11, it'll be the Pix 11 News over on SNY. It's WB Mason post-game live. One and one to Peterson. And he lines one sharply.
Oh.
Nice one-hop pick by Cabrera. His second terrific play tonight. Made a great play against Inciarte in the 6th, and now a beautiful one-hop pick on Peterson.
Beautiful play. He's flashed the leather all year long. That's not an easy chance right there. Look how quick he's up on that bum knee. Nice play.
Day off yesterday helped that knee a little bit. Well, there were questions going into the season about Asdrubal Cabrera and whether he could still be an effective defensive shortstop in the big leagues. And I know that the metrics are not kind to him. Doesn't have the greatest range of any shortstop, but you watch him every day. His hands, his feet, his ability to improvise plays. He is still an outstanding big league shortstop.
No question. He's impressed me. You know, you can't really judge someone until you see him play every day, day in, day out. And he's been solid. But you mentioned, Gary, when he came back off the disabled list, what, in August?
Yeah.
He's just seemed refreshed. And he's just really turned it on.
Dansby Swanson has had a big night. 3 for 4, 3 singles, 3 RBIs, a stolen base, a run scored. His second career 3-hit game, and both have come against the Mets.
Another hitter that chokes up.
Below the knees with the changeup, and it's 2-2. Malik Smith is out on deck. It'll be the first time we see Malik Smith, if he comes to bat, since Antonio Bastardo broke his thumb. It's below the knees, 3-2. Here's Malik's. Missed half the season after that injury. Back when Bastardo was still a Met. Strike 3 called, so Montero works a 1-2-3 inning as he gets Swanson looking. Last licks for the Mets as they come up in the bottom of the 9th, down 7-2. there were two of them. Plays of the game for Matt Kemp, both in the same inning, as he took base hits away from Michael Conforto and Alejandro De Aza. And that has helped the Braves maintain their lead 7-2 as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Double switch for the Braves. Malik Smith will come into play left field and bat ninth, and Jim Johnson will come in to try and get the final three out.
The veteran Johnson getting 15 of the 18 chances on saves. Since returning from the DL June 3rd, has a 1.43 earned run average, only 7 earned runs in 44 innings pitched.
Here's Conforto, who's 0 for 3, robbed of the hit by Kemp his last time up. And he gets the first pitch foul. So the Braves have gotten 2 scoreless innings out of their bullpen. And now Johnson trying to put on the finishing touches. James Loney on deck, Kevin Plawecki behind him. And there's Ty Kelly on deck, apparently to bat for Plawecki in the hole. And a backdoor breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Conforto. 33-year-old Jim Johnson had 250 save seasons as a member of the Orioles in 2012 and 2013. Then had arm problems, went through some tough times the next couple of years. But he has had a pretty good year for the Braves so far. Moise has had a good sinker, and when he does, he gets a lot of ground balls. Ground ball up the middle, and Conforto's got a base hit. So Michael has his first hit of the night, and the Mets 7.
Well done on a breaking ball. Weighted back nicely on that breaker, and that's what I'm looking for from Conforto. Not getting out in front, staying back.
So now James Loney has had a good night with the bat, 2 for 3, a single and a double. Ty Kelly has come out on deck to bat for Plawecki. And Loney takes a strike. Jay Bruce getting his batting gloves on. All that sticky stuff takes a little while. Loney cracks one into center field, cutting across Inciarte. He'll have to play it, and it goes behind him. Conforto to third. He's going to be waved around, and he will score. And it's now 7-3 Atlanta. Loney hit it hard. He's got his third hit of the night, and Inciarte, normally a fine outfielder, got a little too close to it and misplayed it.
A big lead. You can't do this. You got to use your head here. Cannot do that. You play the single. That's got to be a single and an error. How are they going to rule that, Gare?
Well, they're going to give Loney a double and an RBI.
All right, I can see that, but that's just not a good play by Inciarte. Got to be smarter than that.
So it's the third hit, the second double of the night for Loney, and now Ty Kelly will bat for Kevin Plawecki and try and keep it going. Nobody out. 2 hard hit balls in a row by Conforto and Loney to get it started against Johnson. And now Kelly takes a strike. Jay Bruce on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. Lots of bench for Terry Collins. As Johnson gets a strike with a breaking ball, and it's 0-2. Kelly hitting .226. Takes up and in. 1-2. Loney at second and nobody out. A run home here in the bottom of the ninth. And Kelly lays off the curveball, and it's 2-2. Nobody up behind Johnson in the bullpen. Brian Snitker using his closer with what at the time was a 5-run lead. Now it's 4. 2-2 to Kelly. Slowly hit foul. Again, the 2-2. Fouled away. Thirty-three-year-old Jim Johnson trying to settle in here in the ninth inning. He's given up 2 hard hits to start the inning. And Kelly takes a fastball for strike 3 call.
Inside corner, good pitch.
So that's the first out of the inning.
Right on the inside corner. Look at that home plate. It's awful dirty. Get out there and dust it.
That's why they have a whisk broom. Now Jay Bruce to pinch hit. Second straight day off the bench for Bruce. He takes inside for ball 1. Last time he started was Saturday night. He went 0 for 5 against the Twins. 3 hits in his last 33 at bats. Loney at second and 1 out. And Bruce bounces 1 foul, ball and a strike. Bruce with a couple of hits and 6 at bats against Jim Johnson. Jose Reyes waiting on deck. And Bruce goes after the changeup, and it's 1-2. Bruce is 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter. Takes the curveball low and in. 2-2. Loney at second and 1 out. And Bruce takes inside. Same pitch he struck out Kelly on, but too far in. Now it's 3-2. Mets need base runners any way they can get them. Down by 4. Reyes next. Cabrera behind him if it gets that far. 3-2 to Bruce with 1 out. And Jay fouls it off. Just got a piece of that fastball to stay in. Mets are 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position tonight. And despite sweeping the Twins over the weekend, the Mets on this homestand are 4 for 29 with runners in scoring position in these 4 games. And Bruce stays alive again. Harry Collins has intimated that Bruce would be back in the lineup tomorrow. We'll see. After Michael Conforto got 2 straight starts. Conforto picking up his first hit of the night here in the ninth. Bruce trying to do the same. 8th pitch of the at bat coming from Jim Johnson. And he hits it in the air to right field. Easy for Markakis. And that's the second out. So Bruce flies out as a pinch hitter, and the Mets are left to their final out of the night.
3-2 changeup.
Now here's Carlos Reyes is 0 for 3 in a walk tonight. Jim Johnson gave up back-to-back hits to start the ninth. The run coming in on the double by Loney, but now he has struck out Kelly, got Bruce on a fly ball. Hit out to left field. Alex Smith is there, and that does it. The Braves take the opener of the series as Noah Syndergaard gets pummeled over the first 3 2/3 innings. Aaron Blair finally gets his first major league win, and the Mets lose for just the 8th time in their last 28 games as the Braves win 7-3.
Well, 2 Brave batters did all the damage, and that was the red-hot Freddie Freeman, who now has a 23-game hitting streak. He went 4 for 5 with his 31st home run, drove in 3, and also the young rookie Dansby Swanson, the future star shortstop. He went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. He drove in the 6th and 7th run late in the ball game that kind of iced this ball game.
So the Mets lose for the first time on this final homestand of the year. Now 3-1 on the homestand. The game summary brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com today. Mets are now 10 games over 500. And they'll await the results of the Giants and Cardinals games tonight to see where they sit in the wild card standings. 7-3 the final. We'll be right back.